with Eileen. Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Life in Curly Cues podcast with me, Eileen. Today I am joined with a wonderful guest, and it has been 19 episodes and he has still not made an appearance, and I convinced him to make an appearance this episode, and it is my wonderful father, the man who had a part in giving me life. So welcome, Dad.
Well, welcome, everybody, and thank you for having me here.
He's feels, I don't know, but what I can see, he feels awkward and uncomfortable because he doesn't really like to be the center of attention. He likes to sit back and just watch from behind. But I convinced him that he could, if he'll do it, I'll let him drink while he does it and be casual. And so he's got his nice little old fashioned right there. And so, yeah, so we're going to go ahead. Is there anything you want to say about yourself, Dad, before I get into the questions?
No.
All right. Then, Father, the first question I have for you is, as I ask all of my guests, what is the moment where you thought, oh shit, now I'm an adult?
So the moment. So I will probably have to say maybe when I was 17 years old, and I was a senior in high school, and both the Navy and the Army contacted me to possibly join the service. And I think at that moment is when I felt like it was time for me to move on and just do other things outside of just the normal day life. And it was kind of awkward because as I say, I was 17 years old, and my dad being a Vietnam vet, nobody really expected me as the youngest of three to decide to join into the service. And I actually surprised them in the house when I brought in the recruiter from the Army, because I had kind of committed to sign up in the Army, and I brought him into the house and told my parents, I'm ready to sign up. However, since I'm 17 years old, you all have to give the permission.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of interesting. Just the fact of here I am, 17 years old, living in Puerto Rico, senior in high school, and I already had a plan set out to just join the Army and just do some other things, just travel the world and just do other things. So I think that was the moment that really sticks to me, over 25 years ago, to say, you know what, it's time for me to go do bigger and better things, and then just start a different chapter of my life, and I don't regret up to this day. I think it was just the best option that I did at the time, and I think it made me the person that I am today. Just deciding to join the service and serve this country for 24 years now as a retiree now. But yeah, I think that was the moment when I kind of found out that it's time to be an adult and just do things to better myself.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever, before high school and as you were kind of leading into it, did you ever think that you were going to do something that wasn't the military? Or I guess, like, what did you think? What did you want to be when you were a kid to grow up as?
So I always thought I wanted to be a civil engineer. That was one of the things that I always wanted to do. I was always fascinated by just kind of building and planning things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, my mom worked in we call it, it's a dispensary. That's what we call it. But it's actually like a small hospital, and she was a medical director secretary. So we spent a lot of time in the hospital setting as well, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things that kind of interested me as well, the medical field. And it was it was a funny thing because when the Army recruiter came to me, that was the job they really offered me, to
Okay.
be a what it was called back then, a medical specialist, which it was none other than what it is now, a healthcare specialist, or as everybody better knows it, as a combat medic.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of caught my mind. It's like, well, I can actually do this, something that it kind of interested me. But at the same time, it was just I always kind of like the health feel and just helping people. And I think that was just it was just coincidence at the
Hmm.
time, and it just kind of worked out. Uh, it worked out great.
Something I want to mention to the listeners, how fitting. I mean, unless you haven't caught on already, but clearly my dad was in the Army. And this episode is right before Veterans Day. So thank you, Dad, and thank you, everybody else who's listening who has serviced our country in that type of way. Lots of sacrifices have been made from all those people and from you in general. And so thank you again for that. You're one of the people in that I know of that's really good at giving advice and sharing your knowledge with the world. You're a very wise man, I would say. Not going to call you old because you're not old just yet. But what do you think is like a piece of advice that you've given or you've ever received that kind of has stuck with you and that's kind of helped either shape you or grow you and build that character that you have?
So I always go back to my freshman year in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a basketball coach by the name of Rafael Barbosa. He was not only the pretty much every event coach in the school, but he was also the math teacher. And I
Okay.
always been pretty good at math. And on my freshman year, on the first trimester, I think it was the first trimester of the first semester, I was actually just doing my own thing, and not really just working hard on anything. Um, and at first, like I said, at first, I don't know, I can't remember if it was the first trimester or the first semester. I literally score. I think my grade in math at that time, it was like a F. It was a fail because I wasn't really doing a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled me to the side, and he shook me. He told me, he's like, you're better than what you're doing right now. I don't know what's going on, but I know you can do better. And he pushed me to show that I was capable of more. And since that moment, I always have dedicated myself to give 100%, and just try to instill that into everybody, and just making sure that everybody understands that there's more than what you think, than what you see every day. There's other things that you can that you can accomplish. And needless to say, after that conversation, every semester after that, it was literally a 4.0
Okay.
on my math, just because of that conversation
Mm-hmm.
that I had with him. And he was very instrumental in just kind of leading the charge, and change, not so much changing me, but guiding me in the right direction, and just
Okay.
make the right choices. And that kind of stuck to me. And every time I talk to, through my years in the military, and talking to you guys as my children, it's always been, that advice of there's always more.
Mm-hmm.
You are meant to do something, and you have to really find that place that it's gonna fit you well, because that's what you're seeking. You just don't know it yet, but eventually it'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to work hard for it.
Which makes sense. Yeah.
And I mean, and that's everything in life. It's one of those things that, um, experience comes with time, and you build certain ideas and certain morals, and certain things that bring you up from a family perspective, and what my parents did to me, and my siblings as well. And it's just those things that it just kind of made me the person that I am today, and the person that I try to instill to you guys, in terms of, it's what you want. There's a goal, there's an objective, and you have to accomplish that objective by doing certain things. And yet there's stumps and there's rocks on the way, but all you have to do is just get over them, and just continue to move forward. And to me, that's always stayed in my mind, and it just resonates every single day, just to continue, never stop, don't take a step back, and just continue to move forward, and things will just fall in place eventually.
So then what I'm taking away right now is, so your adulting moment was essentially making that transition from young high school you to you in the military, like that quick career change and kind of just having the military kind of choose your life essentially from that point on.
Yeah.
That's a key, like high school shaping you essentially. And then once you leave high school, that's kind of when some people would say is their moment when it's like, shit, I need to get my life together type of thing. Kind of skipping ahead. So you didn't do college the traditional way.
Correct.
Since you went straight from high school into the military.
Which it was actually, let me just make sure I put this down. Which it was interesting because that's one of the things that I joined the military for. I joined the military to go to college. So originally I had joined to be on the reserves, on the Army Reserve, just to ensure that I was able to go to training, do whatever I need to do, and then come back and have them put me through, through college, just like everybody else. Maybe I would have just, skipped a year in training, but that didn't plan out the way it was supposed to. Just because again, life happens.
Yeah.
There's roadblocks on the way, and there's things that happen. There's life events that happen that change the course of life, and it's just a matter of just making the best out of it. I don't regret anything that I've done up to this point because I enjoy what I've done. But it's just one of those things that if they put something in front of you, move it over or just get around it, and then eventually you get back on the right path. So that was one of the things that, like I said, I did about a year and a half, the first 2 years of reserve time, and then I just decided to go on active duty. And then college became the untraditional way instead of my original plan of going the traditional way, as you and Jonathan did. So yeah, so it was like I said, it was interesting.
So how would you describe, or what was your experience with being active duty, but then also, you did your college online. All 3 degrees you have are from online college. What was that like, kind of balancing essentially online school with your constantly demanding active duty career?
So I'll tell you, my associate's degree, it was kind of hard, because as you know, traditionally associate's degree will take you 2 years, and it actually took me a little bit over 6 years to get my associate's degree. But it was just because of it was just time. It was just, you don't have enough time. And even though I did some resident classes on my associate's degree, actually going to a classroom, not so much in the university, but going to an actual classroom within the base, to do testing or just minor classes or things like that. But it was hard just because I was brand new, starting a family. I think at that time, you were already, that was about 2000. Yeah, so you were already about 5 years old, and then Jonathan was about 3 years old. So it was a lot of. I still have a 24/7 job that I have to do, which is being on the military and just doing that mission. And the place that we were at wasn't the greatest. It was a demanding unit, and then at the same time, I had to go to college and better myself somehow, and it was kind of hard because I really didn't have the time because I worked from 5 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon. Then I come home, and I have to care for you guys, and I have to do things in the house, and I have to do whatever is needed as a parent to ensure that things are being done. But at the same time, I have to find time for myself to read books, to research, to do homework, to do things like that. So that's why it took me a long time. And not only that, in the military, the tuition assistant only pays for so much a year, so you can only take so many classes per year.
Okay.
So that really kind of puts you behind as well. But it's perseverance. It's one of those things that I told myself. I joined the Army to travel and to educate myself. So if it's gonna take me longer than the traditional way, then I'll accept that. But I won't just stop from doing that. I will continue to do that. Just because that's always been my mentality is to move forward and just complete what your objective is. And that's always been my advice to everybody, even to young soldiers. While I was in the military, was always just put some objectives, even if you have to write them down, and you have to do everything within yourself to accomplish those objectives. And that's what I did. That's what I did with me as well. I had some objectives, and I had certain things that I wanted to accomplish, and little by little, I did those things. But it was hard. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. But I think I have a great support group within my spouse, and within you guys that really support me throughout the way. And I think that's the thing that got me through as well. Just having the support of you guys, not only from a dad standpoint, but from making sure that at the same time I do things to for myself as well.
Yeah. And for not going the traditional way, you have 3 degrees.
All
And
paid by the military.
exactly, you have no debts as
Nope.
far as school go. And that's a really big, kind of big difference, I guess, with traditional college without military, and then college with or without college, non-traditionally or traditionally with the military. Money wise, it's different. So like, I did not take the military route, so I do have lots of money, which is a major adulting thing that I got to deal with. But then it's just different aspects of that you kind of have to figure out on as you go, type of thing.
Correct.
What are the various, because you were in the army for 24 years, which is basically how old I am. And so I feel like, from my perspective, I've seen you have different, I guess, MOs in the military. Like, I feel like I've seen you in different phases. How many different, like, I guess, positions did you have?
So I mean, it's that's kind of a hard question to ask, because I mean, when you join the military, you have a job. You train for and again, as an enlisted man, because I enlisted into the service. I did not commission into the service. So as an enlisted man, you have a job that you signed up for. They train you to do certain things. So like for me, I was trained as a combat medic or as a healthcare specialist. That was my first job in the military. So you kind of work towards that. But at the same time, you have a main job, which is you are always a soldier. Even though they give you a technical expertise, you will always be a soldier. So the military kind of grows you in terms of leadership, because eventually, as you progress to rank, you are going to become a leader somehow. So that's why every stage of your military career, it's all leading towards leadership and leading individuals. And the more you stay in the military, the more rank you get, and the higher responsibility you get. So in terms of positions, I mean, I had everything from just being a lead of 2 or 3 individuals to having 500 plus individuals below me, just with different levels of leadership in between. So I can, just to name a few. So I was a platoon sergeant. I was a drill sergeant for boot camp training. I was a first sergeant. I was an instructor for a technical school. So the biggest thing is just leadership. I think to me the military just grows you in a leadership perspective. They want you to lead individuals into combat, because at the end of the day, that's what the reality of it is you become an influencer. I mean, you become an individual that you have to tell somebody to stand in front and take point or take a bullet for this country, but at the same time you're leading them to be better.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I think it's just the way the military drives you. They drive you from a young individual to eventually leading the masses. So I think that's just kind of like the mentality of it. It's just, let's see how we can get you to influence anybody behind you.
Yeah. And I think you put that in a good way, because I would say, as an outsider, well, not me as an outsider, because of you I've been in this life, but as someone who has like looks at the military and they just think it's just all combat or anything like that. It kind of showed like the military is multifaceted, I believe is the term I'm going for, where you're not just doing one thing, you're doing all these different things, and you're not only helping essentially the country, but you're also helping yourself in gaining more knowledge and more experience in various aspects, so that when you get to the point of like retirement or something, you have a lot to go off of and be able to say, I did this and I know how to do this because of this.
And I tell you, that was one of the hardest parts because as a retiree, you get out of the military with all these skills that you have learned for so many
Mm-hmm.
years, but then it's kind of like, okay, what am I gonna concentrate on
Because you've concentrated on so
in
much.
order to find
Uh-huh.
that one specific job that I want to do on the corporate world versus I've been doing a little bit of everything
Yeah.
for so long that now I just don't know what I want to do. So it was kind of hard just because it's a lot of, I mean, you have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience on in dealing with certain things, with
Mm-hmm.
certain people, certain events, um, with certain countries, and just, I mean, you come out and you're like, I'm a jack of all trades.
Take me for whatever you need me.
But you don't have a definition of who you are
Yeah.
in reality. So that was a hard part, coming out of the military into a corporate America and just trying to figure out, okay, how do I take that one skill
Mm-hmm.
that I want to continue on versus I was so used to doing everything
Yeah.
versus now I just got to concentrate on one thing.
Yeah. So great transition into now your retired life. So how many years have you been retired already?
So it's been short time and it's going on almost 2 years now.
Okay, so still pretty fresh
Hmm.
in the universe. Um, your transition from active to retired, um, was it essentially what you had planned? Or how you saw, I guess, retirement going? Or was there like curveballs thrown? I mean, of course, there's probably curveballs, but do you think it went as you had ever thought it would go?
So I can tell you honestly, I wasn't ready to retire at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I still had objectives that I wanted to complete in the military,
Mm-hmm.
but things didn't plan out the way that I expected it. But I wanted, I mean, honestly tell you, I would have probably done another 4 or 5 years in the military. But I don't think at the time with everything that was going on and the way that that assignments were falling through,
Mm-hmm.
I was ready to make that next move. So I think at that time that's what made my mind to say, you know what, I think it's that time. You know, somebody told me about 6 years ago. Somebody told me your mind and your body will tell you when you need to retire. And I tell you, 2 years ago, my mind told me it is time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same. The military is not the same. Um, the camaraderie and the atmosphere that I was raised up in the ranks, it wasn't the same. So I think it was that perfect time for me to say, you know what, I'm just gonna take a step back and just exit
Yeah.
at this time, while I'm still feeling pretty comfortable and good about what I've done so far. But it was hard. It was hard to transition out because you were so used to a fast-paced life, and now it's more of a little bit of anxiety kicks in because yes, you have purpose, but it's not the same purpose.
Mm-hmm. You're so used to one thing.
It's you get up in the morning and you already have 20 things that you have to
Exactly.
accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you already have a mission. You have certain things that you have to do throughout the day. But but now it's different because now it's, yeah, there is a mission, but it's never changing. It's always the same versus in the military is an ever constantly changing mission on a daily basis. So you're taking care of 20 things versus now, the job that I do now, I only take care of one thing.
Yeah.
So a very different life now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it.
I
I
was
don't
about to ask,
stress.
are you enjoying it
Oh,
now?
there's no more stress in my life.
Hmm.
I don't have to stress about
Like a
anything.
weight was lifted.
It's big time, big time. I don't have to really think about what's happening the next day. I really don't because I'm on that mind frame that I'm only needed to do certain things from Monday through Friday, from this time to this time.
Hmm.
Anytime outside of that, it's my time. It's no longer somebody else's time. It's no longer I'm on call 24/7 for whatever happens.
Yeah.
It's no longer that. So I mean it's a lot of weight off my shoulders because I don't have to stress. I really don't. I just do what I need to do every day and just relax and have a good time.
It's a good answer. Good answer. Well, thank you for all of your wise knowledge and information on your military experience and kind of how that shaped you into the adult that you are now. But now we're going to transition into the mug of questions, which is right there next to you. And since you are the guest, I'll have you go first to draw a question, and then you will answer said question. Go ahead and mix them up. I made sure any repeats were taken out because I've had that problem lately.
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck Norris?
Whoa, that was a curveball right there at the end.
Yeah.
I guess if that's not an actual question, what are your thoughts on that?
No thoughts. Okay. Next.
That's a weird one. I want to know who wrote that.
Yeah, very weird.
You can draw a different question if you would like.
Dogs or cat? Dogs or cats?
Oh, okay.
Neither.
Why?
Just don't. I don't like animals.
Did you ever grow up with either?
I did. My parents had a dog, but yeah, it's never been a fan of pets. To tell you the truth, it just yeah.
It's funny because you guys probably listening probably heard a couple dogs barking in the background. We do have 2 dogs at our house.
Yeah.
2 crazy dogs, but they're great. Favorite athlete? Go.
So favorite athlete?
Yes.
Wow.
I personally don't have one. I just like watching sports in general. There's no one that I like follow.
And I don't think I do either. I mean, I was raised in a Michael Jordan era, but I mean, I just like sports in general. I play sports throughout high school. I play basketball, and I play a little bit of volleyball, and I played a little bit of baseball as well. But I never really had a favorite per se. I think I just love the sports. I just love to watch sports. I mean, at this point, it's just a matter of if it's more of the question of what sports you like the best. I will probably say basketball will be the best, just because I was raised with basketball. That's what I've done
Yeah.
most of my high school time. Elementary school, middle school, high school time. It was just more
Yeah.
basketball.
And I think because of you, that kind of became our family's like
That-
go-to sport. Yeah.
Kind of, and as you know, because that's one of the things that I picked when when the boys were
Yeah.
small. It was more of being a basketball coach,
Mm-hmm.
just because that was the game that I understood and that was the game that I played, and going back to that coach that really taught me while I was in high school. I wanted to kind of put that
Be that.
spin,
Mm-hmm.
not so much be that individual, but put that spin and to help young kids to find themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's mainly what I always consider myself, that basketball is just the sport that I like the most.
Good answer. All right, one more question for you to pick.
Let's see. Oh wow, this is a good one. What superpower will you want to have?
Ooh, let's hear it.
Hmm. Superpower. That's a good question. I tell you that. I don't think I don't think it'll be much of just a superpower itself. I think if anything, um, I will just I would just rather have the power of being able to touch individuals in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of providing providing them just some wisdom into the things that affected me growing up versus the things that may affect them, that it might not be the same, but at least it's just a, a different perspective in providing that 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 knowledge and just that those 2 cents that they might say, you know what, that's a good advice.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the things that I always pride myself as I was growing up in the military and growing up in the ranks. It was always people came to me for advice, and even now I tell you, even now I've been retired for 2 years, and I still get individuals that call me or text me, used to be soldiers of mine years ago,
Mm-hmm.
asking for advice, asking for what should I do next, what's best for my career versus what they want me to do. And I think if anything, that'll be the only power that I will ask, is just to have that 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 to be able to shine a light
Mm-hmm.
to those individuals that need some assistance, because not everybody was raised the same way. Not everybody had the same assistance or the same support
Mm-hmm.
that I had when I was growing up. So I think if anything, that'll probably be the one thing, is just to be able to provide some wisdom and just to provide some guiding light to those individuals that may need that.
That's a really good and like deep superpower.
So it's just that, like I said, it's just, a lot of people just kind of get into the superpower. I want to be strong enough, or I
Yeah,
want to, I want to fly, or
the
I want to, and I
cliches.
want to do this,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think, sometimes we look at these superheroes, and I don't think it's that power that they have, the real
That makes
power
them what they are.
that makes them who they are, and
Mm-hmm.
that's true. It's kind of like, the cliche with, Spider-Man, with powers, great responsibilities come on. But it's just not really that. It's just that now you become a role model, and I think that's what the power is. You becoming that role model that people are gonna look at you and try to imitate you or learn from what you do or don't do. And I think that's what it boils down to. And I think those are the things that in the military you'll see as well. People will try to imitate the individual. People will try to imitate that senior leader, that middle leader, whoever that individual was that made an impact on them, and they just want to be the same way. But in reality, is you shouldn't have to be somebody else. You should be yourself. But then using some tools from that individual, some things from that individual that may be able to help you move towards whatever you want. But I think it's just, to me, it's just that. It's just, I don't, I'm not a big cliche individual. I just, to me, is I like to share what I know
Mm-hmm.
with other individuals, because at the end of the day, sooner or later, I won't be in this earth anymore. So, so if I'm able to impart some wisdom, or if I'm able to share something that it was an experience for me, that somebody else can use it to turn into a positive, or to use it for something else, then why not? Why take that with me and not give that to somebody
Exactly.
else?
Exactly. Essentially, be the change you want to see in the world is
Yes.
like a very common quote that goes around. That's kind of what you're emulating right
Yeah.
now. Like, leave your legacy and make sure it keeps being passed
Yeah,
on.
and it should be that way. To me, it's everyone should be thinking about, okay, why do I, not so much why do I want to be remembered by, but no, it's just why do I want to leave behind that can help somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's to me that's the biggest legacy is just leave tools that somebody may be able to use for something else.
It's a good answer. All right, I will answer the last question from the mug. Do you play any instruments / what instrument would you want to learn? I personally play guitar, did play a little bit of keyboard for a little bit, sold that keyboard because I didn't play it anymore, and played flute all throughout elementary, middle, and high school. Instrument I would want to learn, I don't, there haven't been any that really struck me that I would want to learn. I just want to keep learning how to play guitar because I'm teaching myself very slowly and I only know like four chords. So there is that. What about you?
So I never really played an instrument. I mean, I played the recorder.
Oh yeah, everybody played that.
I mean, it's a school thing. But after that, I never really. I don't think playing music was one of my things. I think it was more listening to music versus playing an instrument. I mean, I always been fascinating by the bongos and the congas and because it's just I always been I
It's
always,
part of the culture.
it's a culture, I love salsa music, and it's just one of the things that it goes with the culture, and I was always fascinating, and and learning how to play them and whatnot. But it wasn't one of those things that I need to learn. No, I just it was fascinating, but I don't think it was fascinating enough to follow that. I think for me, like I said, I always been a sports individual. Uh, I always wanted to just be out there and just be playing sports, just playing basketball, and that's what it's one of the things that I did. I used to play basketball from sun in to sun out every single day throughout high school, and that's to me that was what made my day. Other than hanging out with my friends through the neighborhood and just just being who I was.
So, as far as instruments go, so in Christmas time, wow, still can't talk. We have parrandas, and if you are not Puerto Rican or Hispanic and you don't know what that is, it's basically the Puerto Rican version of Christmas caroling,
Yeah,
but much louder
the loud
and
version.
much wilder and all that. But it's a blast and a hell of a good time. But when we have parrandas, you typically play some of the instruments whenever we sing the songs and stuff. So did you essentially learn those by just every year being family in the parranda, or was that something that you kind of learned later in life?
No, so those your mom gifted those to me. I will say maybe 18 years ago. She gifted what we call planeras.
Mm-hmm.
She gifted those to me. I didn't know how to play them. But when we were stationed in Maryland, we had a friend that knew how to play them. He was a Cuban guy that knew how to play them and just kind of showed me real quick how to play two of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not the third one, because the third one is kind of like the hardest, what they call the quinto, which is the smallest one, and that's the one that makes the most rhythm. Versus the other one is just kind of
Like a beat.
like a beat. The other two are just more of the beat. The other one is kind of like the one that follows the song and goes by itself.
Mm-hmm.
But that was too hard for me to learn because, like I said, I never been the instrument guy. So one, one of the Christmas back then, I think it was early 2000s. He just kind of showed me how to just run the beat with those, and after that, it stuck with me because it's so easy. It's a 1 2 1 2, pretty simple. So why not? So I think that was, and yeah, given the culture, and it's always like I said, it's a Christmas thing. It's not all year round.
Exactly.
So that's what it stuck to me. But yeah, but I have never been a learn instrument, learn music type of individual. No, I just listen to music. Let others make it and play it, and I'll just listen to it.
And you'll be the consumer.
That's it.
Well, Dad, that brings us to I can't talk. The end of the podcast. I would like to thank you so much for finally joining me on an episode. It was about time. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with me and the entire population that listens to my podcast. Not so much, but eventually, maybe soon. But yeah, do you have any final remarks or anything you kind of just want to share, anything like that?
No, if anything, just with departing here, or finishing the podcast, I just want to just kind of just put out there to everybody is it's always um, see what you want to do in life, set those objectives and those things that you want to really attain, and little by little do everything within yourself to reach those goals. Never let anybody else tell you you're not capable of, because they don't know. Only you will know. And never take a step back. Um, Always take care of yourself. Always remember nobody else will take care of you but you. And at the end of the day, you came in by yourself to this world, and you'll leave by yourself in this world. So do everything within your power to ensure that you attain everything that you have put in front of you to do. And just just you know be upfront with you, and just be you. Don't let nobody else change who you are to the core. Always be you. And that's it. And just thank you for having me. Yeah, it was a long time, but like I said, like you said, I don't like to be the one in the spotlight. It's never been my thing. I like to sit back and just watch individuals and just continue on. But thank you.
All right. And with that, y'all can listen wherever you want to listen, watch wherever you want to watch, and I will talk to y'all on the next one. Bye.